Hello everyone, it's Runik Fro again. I'm going to be taking you guys to lab number 2. I'm going to be guiding you guys through identity management. Like I said earlier, this is very important because you're expected to be able to create a new group as well as creating a new user and be able to move that new user into that new group. Keep that in mind. Let's hang tight while this lab loads. Okay, we're still in Windows Server 2019, and in this lab, you're expected to use the network policy server to create a network access policy for connection request, authentication, and authorization. The created policy will be assigned to an Active Directory group for enforcement. So we have two expectations here. Use Active Directory users and computers to manage users and groups. Keep this in mind. Active Directory users and computers to manage users groups. You're expected to know this. You're expected to know how to go through this and get Active Directory for a group and a new user created and move that new user into that new group. So they create a network access policy using the network policy server. For the purposes of your exam, you want to focus much on this. But that doesn't limit you to kind of understand how you're able to create a network access policy using the network policy server. If you haven't taken this lab or done this lab before, please do watch the video. Okay, let's start with the very first part of this lab, which says use Active Directory users and computers to manage users in groups. There we go. Step 1. We don't need to worry about this. You can just forget because we're already into the Windows Server 2019. Step 2 says, hey, open Server Manager by clicking the icon on the toolbar. Then open Active Directory users and computers from the Tools menu in your Server Manager. There you go. That's it. Server Manager. Let's click on it. Please watch out for this process. Okay. Once you get that launched, you want to go to Tools. Tools, you're going to be looking at Active Directory users and computers. Very important. Click on that. It's Active Directory users and computers that's responsible to manage employees' access, creating of new employees into the domain, creating of groups into an organizations and all that stuff. So it's very important for security and be able to manage access within an organization. Step 3 says right click on My Domain Local, then create a new global security group and name it Radius. There you go. So we're going to right click on this, and then we're going to go to New, and then we're going to choose Group, and we're going to name that group Radius. And we're going to click OK. And to verify, right, you're going to go down there. Verify, like I said, right? You just click on My Domain. And that's the new group. Okay. Step 4 is requiring us to create a new user. Because we already created a new group by right clicking on My Domain. Do not forget this process. My Domain, New, Group, and then you type in the name of whatever group you're required to, right? Okay. We created a group Now we are required on step 4 to create a new user with login and first name called Radius user and add it as a member to Radius group. So saying that to do this, we have to expand my domain, and then we right click on users and select new, then user. So let's expand. We come down to users, right click on users, and then we go to new, right? And what are we expected? Just go down to users and we type. We expect it to do Radius user. That's it. The login is exactly going to be the same name or first name or whatever it is. In the real scenario, right? Same with companies. If you have a username, you have a first name and last name. Sometimes they'll do an initial of your user first name and the full last name, just depending on how the company decides to do users' names and then your login name. So, okay, say for instance, my name is Ronik Furu, and they could probably say Ronik for the first name and Furu for the last name. And if they were gonna do a user login name, they could just do the initial of my first name, which is R for Ronik, attached to my last name, which is Fru. It says RFU, right? Depending on that company. Yeah, the company domain is my domain local. So if, let's say it's bobcat.com, right? There will be Ronik rfru at bobcat.com. So whatever the domain, right? That's what it is. That makes your email address anyway. So in this case, for purposes of this lab, the user's first name, we're just going to go by the first name, is going to be Radius user. So we did that. So we're going to do again Radius user. Then we're going to do next. So for a password, this is what we're going to do for a password. Password with a 0 that replaces an O and an exclamation sign at the end. So we're going to do uppercase P, small case, cases A, S, S, W, 0, RD, and exclamation sign. Confirm password. There you go. User must change password at next login. So usually when we create accounts for when support techs create accounts for new employees, they usually just go with default, and then they require that employee to log in and change the password immediately. So that's why this first box is checked. And we can go down and check other policies and say user cannot change password if you don't want them to change. Password never expires. If you want the password, it never expires. So a lot of companies usually do like say, you know what, your password will expire every 360 days. So like says annually you're gonna have to change your password. So this is the extra policies. Purposes of this lab, we're just gonna go forward and do what they're asking us to do. So you click on next. There you go. So the full name of the user will be Radius user. Login, that's what it's going to be, which is kind of always like an email address. It can be used for the user must change the password next login. So those are the policies. So we click finish. There we go. There we go. So step 5 says highlight the user's folder, then right click new user, then select properties. So let's come to users. Highlight the users folder, sorry. Let's highlight the user folders. And then right click a new user. This is a new user. A new user was Radius, so that's a new user, Radius. So we highlight the new user. and then we right click, we go down to properties. Follow this process. I repeat again. Once you create a new user, I'm going to go back. Once you create a new user, you click in users, come down to the new users, which is radius. There you go. It says highlight. Highlight the new user. You right click and you choose properties. There you go. Usually when employees accounts are set up, they can always be added to members of whatever, so I'm not going to take you to that anyway. So let's just go back to the basics. You highlight the new users, right click, click on properties. There you are. So what does 6 says? It says on the dial-in tab under the network access permissions, select allow access. Dial-in tab, that's it. It says allow access. You select allow access. I'm going to show you here. Allow access. Dial-in tab. That's you select allow access. Once you select allow access, you click. You can click. It says click apply, but you can always click OK right away, or you just do properties. Dial-in. You can always click apply. You know, whatever. Okay, it's a fine. There you go. Scroll down. The second piece talks about network policy server configurations. But before I take you to that, after verifying the radius new user, or the new user called radius user, we're going to be looking at the next, which means network policy server configurations. Step 1 of that network policy server configurations is from the Server Manager Tools menu, open the network policy. Like I said, from the Server Manager Tools menu, open Network Policy Server. I'm going to go back here. Network Policy Server. Network Policy Server, you click on that. There we go. Step 2 says, under the Radius Clients and Servers folder, right click Radius Clients, then select New. I'm going to right click on that. Radius Clients, we're going to click on that, and we're going to right click on Radius Clients. I'm going to create New. Step 3 says, enter a VPN server for the friendly name and 192.168.1.190 for the new VPN server IP address. So we're going to go to friendly name. We're going to type VPN server. Go down to the IP address. We're going to do 192.168.1.190 for the VPN server IP address. For the password, I'm going to enter PASSW0RD exclamation sign. It's a password, but it's called shared secret, so it's password. I'm going to repeat that. I'm going to click OK. We completed step 4. Once you get that done, you just want to double click step 5. you want to select Advanced tab, then select Radius for the vendor name. So we have so many vendor names, but what we expected to select is a Radius standard for the vendor name, and then we just click OK. Step 6 says expand policies, then create a new network policy by right clicking network policies and selecting new. So what are we going to do? We're going to expand policies. To expand policies, then you right click network policies, and then we click new. And what do? We go to step 7, which says enter the policy's name as VPN server. VPN server. Step S says select remote access server. There you go. That will be under type of network access server. This is how we're going to select. Select remote access server. In bracket VPN dial up. There you go. What do we do next? We click next. There we go. Step 9 says select add on the specified conditions page. Then select Windows groups and click add. So we are going to select add on the specified conditions page. Then we're going to select the Windows groups and click add. So this is the Windows groups. We're going to select this and then we're going to click add. Step 10 requires that we click on select add groups and then enter radius. Add groups. What we do? We type radius. Remember that new group that was created, radius. So we are going to type that group on here, which is radius. We're going to check the name just to ensure. Once it's underlined, it means hey, that's valid. That's when we click check names, right? Once it's underlined, right, it's valid. Then we're going to select OK. And then we're going to come down here again and click OK. And then we're going to come down right here and click next. That takes us to step 11. On the specified access permission page, select access granted, then select next. Access granted was defaulted, so we don't have to worry about this. It's already selected. We got to come down here and just click next. Step 12. On the configure authentication methods page, select add, then select Microsoft Secure Password EAP-MS JAP version 2. I'm going to limit it to the EAP, which just simply means Extensible Authentication Protocol. It says on the configure authentication methods page, select add, then select Microsoft Secure Password. As you can see, that was defaulted. You didn't need to because it's already defaulted. MS JAP version 2. What you gotta do is just to move to step 13, which is click on next. Just click on next again. Click on next again 3 times, and then you do finish. Then that takes you to the Radius client that's already been set up. It's now available as per step 14. Step 15 states you're going to do in the NPS window, right click at the top where it says NPS bracket logo and select export configuration. There you go, NPS export configuration. So you're trying to export the setup. Check the box and says, hey, I am aware that I'm exporting all shared secrets. That's just to kind of get an acknowledgement. Save the file. Save the file to the desktop as NPS. I want to give a name. We just say NPS. And you select it's been saved. So you can verify this by going to this desktop NPS. That's the file. We usually just use WordPad to open it. That's it. Complete this process, and you can submit just for the lab purposes. But before we submit for this lab, right? Remember, you're going to be able to know how to move a new user to a new group. For purposes of this exam, please, we did create a group called Radius, and we did create a user called Radius user. So now we are tasked with moving that Radius user to the new group called Radius. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back to Tools, go back to Active Directory Users and Computers. We're going to open up to Users and go down to Users. We're going to right click on that. We're going to do Add to a Group. And we're going to pull up that group called Radius. There you go. That's it. It's already removed. To verify if that Radius user is already in the Radius group, all we got to do, there are two ways we can do that. We can double click, open it up. We can open it and kind of check members of Radius. That's it. Thank you. And we're going to go ahead and submit this for lab purposes. But for the exam, please, you have to make yourself familiar in how to create a new user group, a new user, as well as moving that user to that new user group. We're done with the second labs for today.